Okay, so we've got the hindquarter finally in the bay. Big old lump, and so we've moved it over here purely so I can show you a lot clearer and it'll just be a lot easier all round. Now, a couple of things we have taken care of. We've just done a little bit of rescribing after we did the primer work. You might notice on one of the close-ups, we've actually put in the lines down here. We've replaced those. There was a couple of areas where we literally lost some of the detail, so we've just lightly rescribed around on them. We've done a little bit here on the bottom as well, just to really put it all together. Everything's masked up and all still the same since we actually did the primer coat. So what we're going to do is work our way through the weathering. Now, the way we're going to do this is our standard type of way. We're going to put a little bit of twist on it here and there, but basically we're going to come in for the moment, we're going to pre-shade everything. It's just the fastest way of breaking up your paintwork and making it look a lot more natural. Okay, so actually what we're going to do, we're going to come in with a little bit of NATO black. Any black will do, any dark colour. Okay, we're going to start on the bottom, purely because this is where the pre-shading is going to show a lot more. We've just got one, like the blue colour going down here. It's going to be more noticeable, but we are going to do the top as well, and we're going to slightly work our way through. We've got that type of thing of splinter camo going on with this, i.e. hard edge lines, which will be masked, which will make actually your pre-shading show through a lot more than if you were freehand camoing it, for instance, where you're overlapping a lot of the time and you lose it in there. So from our point of view, it's going to be that standard thing. We've got a bottle here. I've got a bolt in here just to break up any large lumps. Now, airbrush has had a good old clean out. Okay, so all we're going to do is just going to check our flow. Happy how it is. Now, this particular one, you want to make it really big and bold. Don't be too frightened of, you know, just going in there and giving it heavy coats and things like that. Because when we come back, because it's on such a large area, you can pick out individual panels, perhaps weather separately, replacement panels, things like that. But you want things like your pre-shading to show through. So give it a little bit more than perhaps you normally would. So what we're going to do is just going to jack up one half of it a little bit. I need a bit more than that, just to stop it flapping around with the airflow hitting it, stuff like that. So we've got the wing section just down here in the mids. All right, so check our flow. So we're going to start off with the flaps. So we're just going to go in the ailerons. Okay, it's a nice heavy coat because obviously there's plenty of it, and then we're going to work around. So you can see on the panel lining itself, if I just move this over a sec, over here on the close-up area, you might be able to see they've actually got in here areas where some of the panels are larger than others. So this one is a lot larger than this one. This one is obviously a faint one, then it's heavy, and so forth and so on. So actually what you want to do is try and get in a situation where you're working with them all to bring it in scale. So big ones, lots of paint. Thinner ones, little paint. Riveting detail, a little bit less, and things like that, and so forth and so on. All right, so we've got heavy line in here. Okay, we've got a heavy line in here. And as I say, don't matter about it being wiggly and stuff like that. Okay, we've got quite a hefty line runs down in here. Alright, then we've got some little lighter ones, so we're just going to come in a bit lighter, a little bit more focused perhaps. Then we've got things like boxes, so we're just going to paint those in so it looks like, you know, they're opened up a lot, things like that. Okay, so some of these, and it is literally that case of just going around filling in every line you can see. Okay, so down in here, a nice big broad strokes because you're filling in quite a large area, being the actual flash itself, and then obviously we're just going to put in a little bit of shading. I'm not going to worry too much about all that riveting, to be honest. All right, so then we've just got down here. Okay, around the Bombay, it's going to get quite a lump paint just around there. Then, as I say, we've got these ports. I'll just give little flicks off. Right, and it's literally just what will be breaking up your paint coats as you go right the way around. Now we've got these metal plates on the other ones, so I'm just going to paint those, because I want them to stand out a little bit. So we're not going, you know, just blotting them. We're just over coating them a little bit. Okay, and then what we're going to do is just carry this process on absolutely everywhere, and it's quite a big old job on this purely because of the size of it. So as I say, if you put in paint pots and stuff like that just to hold it straight as you're coming through, but then you should be able to, as I say, some of them make a little bit heavy, some of them a little lighter. These are smaller ones, all of these, so we're just going to come in a little bit lighter just around these areas. But what you don't want to do is make it really sharp. If you come in too close, for instance, okay, let's clear the needle. If you come in and like this line here, and you were in here and you were really pronounced like this, what's going to happen is this line, because it's sharp, it's going to stand right out, okay? You want it to be soft, feathery edges, which are a little bit more like this, okay? And we're just going to turn that into something else, all right? We've got this guy running here. It's big but light. Okay, goes right to the wingtip. Okay, all the way over. Then we got these actually leading edge ones coming in. I'm just going to ensure them, and there we go. And as I say, it doesn't have to be neat, it doesn't have to be nice or anything else like that, because all you're doing is laying it down. Don't forget, you can adjust any of this with the next coat. When we go in with that lighter colour, we can then get rid of a lot of it. If it's too strong, go quite lightly, thin the paint to make it show through a little bit better. There's lots of different things we can do to it, but for the moment, all we're trying to do is lay down quite a heavy coat in here. But as I say, but just mix and match it up a little bit, perhaps have some lines heavier than others and stuff like that. It's just so when it's all turned over and looking, it doesn't look like a solid lump of paint. So I've got to do this absolutely everywhere, which as you can imagine is going to take a little bit of time. So if you'd like to come back and join me once we're all finished, then we can think about then starting to get the camo. Okay, so there we go, pre-shading all done. As you can see, bit of a monster trying to get in all these angles, but as you can see, it's a pretty rough job. You don't want to go over the top with it. After all, it's only pre-shading and you're going to cover it up, and probably 50% of the time you overpaint it and you lose it anyway, okay? But in some ways, it's a great little practice, perhaps practicing doing camo lines, straight lines, practicing your things, because it's part of it. But when things do go wrong, and inevitably they do, like down here, I've got a fault here that needs to be rectified later on, you know, it's not a problem because we just go over it. It's nothing that you can actually think, oh, I've done wrong. And to be honest, as we said, the more random it is, the better. As I said, and I say it every time we get to this stage, too many times have I seen pre-shading too well done, okay? And by that we mean it's perfect. It's like a grid. The trouble is, you put it on your model, it looks like a grid. No aircraft ever looks like that, okay? So you're trying to keep it random and like a weathered effect, okay? So, up next, we got something a little bit different. So from our point of view, we're going to be using obviously the Luftwaffe colours as you'd expect. I'm going to go with RLM 70, 71 and 65, which is right for the particular markings. We're going to be doing this for around about 1940s bomber. So for that, we're going to be using a paint I've never used before. This is AK Interactive. It comes as a Luftwaffe set, okay? So down here on the back, you can see the various call outs for it. This is technically the one we're doing here is the one at the top. So we just say it's AK numbers 2005, 006 and 003, okay, for the underside colour. They do other sets as well, and also I have got this one here, and this one I think tends to be more the later colours and for deserts and things like that, okay? But it's quite handy if you haven't got any of the RLM colours, you can just buy a set like this and you're pretty well covered, all right? Now, as I say, I have never used AK Interactive's blacktop paint before, so this is them. Now you might be thinking they look extremely like something else that we've got right here, which is the complete model air range, or most of it, okay? Do they come out of the same factory? Are they saying the same thing and all the rest of it? We're not quite sure, but certainly by doing this test, we'll know very, very quickly. We have used their paints before, and in testing we have used, I've got to find them now, we've used recently on a World War I tank, we used some of theirs. We didn't think it was technically Model Air, but it was very, very close and it worked for us. We didn't have any real problems with it. So we're looking forward to using this stuff. Now from our point of view, we're going to be going in with the lightest colour, which is this one, which is RLM 65. So we will need to find 70. There's 70 and 71, and basically it's two types of green. It's dark green over a lighter green, all right? So what we do, we'll just put this out of the way over there. Okay, now looking at them, looking at the bottles and everything else, it looks like they've separated. You might be able to see we've got quite a lot of blue and it's grey at this end and stuff like that, just as they've been lying around. So we're going to give it a good shake. Now, the trouble you find with these bottles is that you tend to get the thick goo at the bottom. Okay, now how many times have we done it? You buy a brand new bottle of like Tamiya paint or, you know, Guns or something else like that, and it's really thick at the bottom and it takes a lot of shaking. The great thing with these is you can see it through the bottom. These you can't, so you're sort of halfway hoping that it's all mixed in. One way to get around that, and I've got to see if I have got a spare one, is to put in a steel ball nut or a ball bearing, and to be honest, that's going to be a little bit too big. So I've got in here, this is all stainless steel stuff in here, so what I'm going to do is just going to pop out a smaller one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop the top off of this and then being a bit careful we don't get paint everywhere. As you can see, we've got lots of light blue up here at the top. Okay, and you can see it's not mixed very well at all. So this little guy fits in there an absolute dream. Now, the reason for using something like a nut, okay, and not a ball bearing is, in the past I have used ball bearings, all right? And certain paint manufacturer now puts ball bearings in them as well. I hope to God you don't do what I do, and when you shake them up, they get down to the business end, they make a complete seal, and then you blow that entire top off. So as you're squeezing this in somewhere, it then fires the entire thing off. Been there, done it, too many times. Okay, so now I've learnt putting a nut into there on the hex size works absolutely perfect. So we're giving this a good old mix, and you can hear it as well with these when it's hitting hard plastic at the bottom, and when it's on a like there, you can feel there's something in there, so you know it needs to have a damn good mix more. Now, it does say on these that these are a new formula, acrylic paint, been carefully researched, blah, 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 blah. Scale reduction factor, I think they mean scale effect. I'm never a fan of those. I know if you've watched all my videos, you'll know recently we've done some on the Hind and stuff like that, and they're pre-weathered. Really, don't like the idea of that. I like to do that myself by lightening and darkening. So what we're going to do, we're just going to literally take the bull by the horns. Now normally when you're doing any type of paint testing, I would recommend doing it on something you're not worried about. But from our point of view, what we're going to do, we're going to steamroll it in here and get on with it. Now the wheel wells are going to be a separate colour, but it'd be easier, just as easy to mask them up afterwards and paint them in rather than masking now. These I've masked up separately, but the wheel wells we can mask them in and do them afterwards. Now, it doesn't mention anything about thinning here. High quality acrylic paints, let dry completely for 1 day. For thinning, they recommend using their own acrylic thinner. Well, they would. So we're just gonna come in and we're just gonna pop it in the colour cup to see how thick and thin this is. All right, it looks very much like when we used the last one. It looks a little bit thicker, perhaps, than Model Air. Okay. So we're just going to check our flow. All right. Now the thing is, if I was coming along and doing an area, so if we just pick a small area, just down here for example, just to see what this stuff's like, okay, we can put this down, and to be honest it's going on pretty well, okay, and we can see we've got a little bit of, so we've got some nice colouring. It's not covering completely like a Tamiya would or something else like that. That's because it is a little bit thinned, all right? So looking at it, it seems to be, I don't know, it's definitely not working like Model Air. Model Air, if I was putting that down now, you'd have to thin it a little bit. This, I don't think you are. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this part of the wing. I'm going to give it a light tester coat to see how we get on, and then we can push through, okay? So just for the moment, Just going to put in a lightish coat just to see what's going to happen here. Okay, so we're looking to see if we've got any build up particularly on the needle or anything else like that. It doesn't look too bad. The smell, it's definitely not Model Air. We can smell it's something completely different. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the extractor behind me just to get it out of the room. Okay, that will draw that way, even though we haven't got these extractors going. Trust me, it will hit this and go upwards. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, as you can see, you've got all that pre-shading coming through. This in the middle is a little bit hard. Okay, so what we're going to do is just going to give it another go over, just to blend that through, alright, and you can knock it back a bit. Any areas you got, you know, particularly a little bit hard, like this one is, and this one is. And this is what we were saying about where pre-shading can go and never go wrong, alright? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do another coat on this wing, and what I'm going to do is going to take it until the pre-shading just about disappears. As soon as you lose it, stop. Okay, so here we go again. Quite a little bit foggy. I'm just going to hit one of these. Okay, I'm just going to finish off this wing. Okay, now as you can probably see, you can see things coming back at different rates. We've got a little bit down here, so we're just going to knock that back a touch. Okay, and apart from that, we've got a little bit in the middle here. Just going to knock that back, but apart from that, we're going to leave it there. Got a little bit of a grey line going in here. So we're just going to push that in as well. So now it's all pretty much even, but hopefully, you know, it's one of those things, it's like watching grass grow. This will lighten up, okay, and you can see the darker lines starting to come back. Yet when we first put this down, you could hardly see them. Okay, but the idea is this randomness in your pre-shading and stuff like that comes back, and sort of with it combined with the washes and your fading and perhaps some, you know, various bits of weathering you're going to do afterwards, all complement each other and give you a very nice scale effect all over, and that's what we've got here. So I'm really happy how that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally get these two blowing as well. We'll get those extractors on. I'm going to paint the entire underside. So, I know it's a little bit noisy, but there we go. There was stage one. I have to say, we'll have a look in a minute and a quick chat about it, but first impressions, really good.